Well, block's all done, painted. I want to put in or on the water pumper, make a gasket for it. And I had an interference problem right here, so I cleaned that up. And then I put it on, and what's going on is this hole is larger than that hole, and the water pump hangs out. I have no sealing surface on the outside edge. Okay, this is my plan. I'm going to put it in the mill. I'm going to come in with the end mill, and I'm going to machine a hole in here. Then I am going to make a plug to fit in there, and then have the hole drilled or machined to that size. I'll probably braze that in place. I really don't even have to do that because it'll be captive. So I just need a surface to make a gasket it's going to fit on, because literally that much overhangs. It's always something. Well, like everything else, I'm going backwards with this. I got to disassemble this water pump because I can't jig it up in the end mill. I'm having trouble with the welder. The welder keeps on popping the breaker. I can't really complain. I bought it in 96 or something. It's been a good welder up till now. But I rebuilt this pump 4 years ago. Kind of interested to see what it looks like inside after 4 years of running. But I definitely have to fix the coolant passage on this. I cannot run it on this block the way it is. I went and held it up to the other block, and it did match the other block somewhat. This pump here is actually off of a Super 6, which would have been after 25, I think. So it's really not the right pump to begin with. Oh yeah, here we go. I'm gonna have to make a new gasket. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Well, I can pull this out. I have a flat surface here to jig it up to. Hey, give this a try. I gotta just take a little off of it. This boring jig was great in the roads this spring. Some guy came out and said, hey, my dad just died and he used to work in a machine shop. I mean, the dude gave me a whole tub full of boring mills and end mills. And coincidentally, that one is exactly what I need. So it's, well, how about we put it in here, huh? I'm just going to take a light cut, not too deep at all. It's just something, maybe an 1/8 inch of that. And then I can make a plug or something that's going to go in this. Yeah, it's not liking this. Let me lock that up. There we go. Let's clean it up a little bit more. Actually, I needed to get in where the camera is to do this properly, so I don't know if I can get over here and do this or not. There's always something with these old cars. I don't know if I could do this if I didn't have a machine shop. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even have good tooling or good machine. Smithy stuff's all right, but I wish I had better. I gotta make sure I don't go too deep that I blow out on one side. Like that. I didn't blow it out though. Okay, let me go see if I can, I need to readjust this. It's cutting in on an angle. I'm getting a deeper pocket than I am over here. So I need to do a little shimming. Well, I got the hole depth set to where I want it to be. That washer fits in there. It's a little narrower than I want it to be. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to get fancy and do any welding or brazing. I'm just going to RTV this in place because it'll be captive in there. So what I'm doing now is machining this washer to the correct ID of the hole in the block. Before I go too big, I want to go make sure this is all going to line up. Yeah, I want to make sure that that washer hole is going to be centered with the water jacket hole. So I put a couple dabs of RTV on this, and I'm going to walk this into place, pull it back. Oh, it's exact. There we go. It's exact. So I don't have to lose sleep knowing that that's cavitating through there because the holes don't line up. Let me clean that up and get this RTV'd into the pump that is set up overnight. Okay, just going to let that set up overnight. And then when I go to put it on, I'll RTV it again, gasket, RTV, and then I'm pretty sure I got that. This project's taking longer than I thought. I'd normally say it's time for a beer, but I'm feeling it from yesterday. So it ain't time for a beer. Okay. Every time I turn around, I'm getting into something else. That outlet's about done. There's pinholes in it. I had some old antenna mast laying around. What the plan is, I'm going to machine it down. I don't have to take much off. And I am going to sleeve it. And I am going to JB weld the hell out of all those pock marks to help hold that in there. I need to make a gasket for here. I've already, from when I rebuilt this pump the first time, helicoiled the bad stuff. This is a good place right now where it's at. This gasket, this is a little bit recessed. I guess if I was anal about it, I could machine this down flush, but that's what RTV is for, right? Packing seal, that's still pretty much brand new. I guess I could put new packing seal in, but this stuff had already seated itself. Anybody that's ever worked on these with the adjustable nut knows it takes a while to get that seal to seal. I've already got it sealed, so I'm not going to mess with replacing that. Okay, first things first, let's make this sleeve. I've cleaned up the inside I'm just gonna take the paint off right now and then see how it fits. I'm not gonna take that much off of it. I think I just need to get the paint off and it should slide right in. It's always something. Okay, I got it down to size. I want to put some meat on this. So I am going to knurl this. And that way the epoxy will have something to bind to. I'll get back to you when it's done being knurled. Gotta love the mess. I have sandblasted the inside, but I still want to make sure I'm getting all the silicants from the antifreeze out of the inside of this. So I get a brush in there and then I turn it on backwards so it expands. A little bit of alcohol helps too. Looks pretty decent. Let that dry. I've got the knurl on here. I also cut a little relief in here because when this goes to slide through, this part's pulled back a little bit. Let me clean this off. Mix up JB Weld. Sure, everybody knows how to do that. Nobody needs to see how to do that. Yeah, I made up extra just because that's what I do. So I want to make sure that it's in the knurling area. And then I need to fill those pock marks inside the housing. This should last another 100 years. If I wouldn't have done this, this thing would have been leaking in a year or two. There's no doubt in my mind. I didn't realize how bad this pump was. And good luck finding a pump for a 20-something Nash. They're not out there. The main thing is filling the pot marks. Yeah, this is going to work out really well. There were some people on there was a guy, I think he was out of Flint area or somewhere around there, that had a pump. He was asking how to rebuild it or find a cover. I tried to explain to him that this would be the way to do it. And now there's a video. Okay. That's all filled in nice and good right there. I need the relief up. Make sure I get it into place. Okay. It moved a little bit. That relief isn't exactly where I want it. Let's see if I can twist this into place. That knurling really helped it bite in there. Oh yeah, it moved where it needed to be. Clean this up a little bit and see what I got going on. I can come in just a little bit further. There, that's all I need to come in. So now it's just a matter of cleaning up the goop and cutting that off. Yeah, that part's all done. Just made a gasket for the water pump. And that mod took the sealing surface from about here out, and it was pretty corroded here. And look how much sealing surface I gained. It's amazing with that simple mod. And before everybody says I restricted the flow, no, I didn't, because that hole opening is the exact size of that hole opening. So we've got that done here. That's drying overnight. The motor mount needs to dry overnight, hanging over there. When that's all done tomorrow, I can put it on there and I can drop the engine in. And then I can slowly start adding pieces to this thing. I need to build the head, but I got to clear off the workbench first. I still have like 14 days to get this mess done. I can do it. And I'm running low, so I might actually do a Fedman's beer run trip. You guys will find out where I get all this great beer. If it's nice that night when we get there, I'll be having this stuff on the outdoor patio looking at Lake Superior. Okay, on to the water pump. So this is how this repair turned out. I think this pump will last another 100 years. I don't know if you can see, but I got that pipe coming right into there, and I don't think it's going anywhere. The pump I got here is out of a 29, and I'm making it fit. There are huge differences between the 29 and the early ones. Primarily, I like the 29s because they have a cast impeller versus a stamped. And then, of course, the water passages were bigger and blah, blah, blah. So I said I wasn't going to rebuild the whole pump, but hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to rebuild the whole pump. It's not like I have a lack of seals. Don't ask me where I got them. Places out of business. You can order this stuff from McMaster-Carr too. So the way I'm going to do this is they got a concave area there. I'm going to put the bigger, thicker seal in first. I'm going to crush it down. Then I'm going to put the smaller seal on top. I might even have a smaller seal right here, put it on top, depending on how much. Crush that down. Because I was having some problems with this leaking a little bit, but like I said, anybody's got one of these old pumps, these things freaking leak. I need to make that gasket today. And I've got this bubbling away in the nickel plating right now. I switched it over from copper to nickel plating. You can't even see it in there. I'll leave that in there for a couple hours. Okay, let's get to it. The first thing I'm going to do is put the impeller in. I'll show you something. This is a cast steel impeller. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Right there. Starting to delaminate. That is really, really weird. And that one is cast iron. Maybe I should just go with the cast iron one instead of the steel one. Well, let me decide. Let me fit it up. Well, this just made up my mind on which one I'm using. That one won't engage the cam. And I don't feel like making a new shaft right now. This one's been working. I'll continue to use it until it stops pumping. I'll just take it apart and fix it. I got a couple things going on here. If I put this together like this, it's down too low. So I made up a stainless washer to go in there. Now it doesn't touch the bottom of the pump. And if I put it in here like this, that hits there. So I made up a copper washer for that to go in there. That'll fix that problem. For now, let's get these seals in here. I'm doing two. They're split seals, so I'm going to do them opposite of each other. I hope that makes sense. So that one there, that one there. Let's get the impeller in here. I'm just fitting this right now. I'm going to pull this impeller back out. Jeez, well, look at that. What did I just do? Oh, nothing. I didn't do nothing. It's packed in here. I don't want to use a screwdriver. I don't want to tear it. Yeah, okay, I just made a mistake. I put the splits underneath each other wrong. They're supposed to be like that. I had them the other way. So let's just try putting them in like this. So I got a split there, loosely tighten that. Now let's try putting this in. It might be the easier way to do it, huh? Look at that. That was the easier way to do it. Believe it or not, you reef on these things to get them tight. Pull out the trusted Nash water pump nut wrench. And this one covers both sizes, new and old. Like I said, you can reef these things down, and you're going to want to because you need to leave clearance in there for the front cover. Yeah, that'll work out fine. That'll burn right in. I'm going to do another thing on this pump too. I am going to use some of the packing seal and put it in here somewhere in all this mess. I'll find it. Here's a new one. This slides in here. This part protrudes into the front cover to help from the oil slinging. And what I've done is I've made up a felt seal. So this is going to go into the front cover area. Just like that. It's just going to stop the slinging, and it'll also stop if the pump does leak, any of the water coming down the shaft and potentially getting in there. I don't know if you remember how stained that was from that pump leaking. Okay. Let me finish tightening all this stuff up and making a gasket. Okay, I crushed the nut down pretty good. Great engagement. I want some added protection. I know it probably did not come with a seal in there. Not too sure. It is machined for a reason. But I'm just going to make my own seal for in here. Let's see. And since I have that press-on slinger that goes on this, that'll make this a captive seal. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? That is one tight seal. Now, to get it on there, I'm going to start from this side first so I can get it opened up. Yeah. You know what I'm going to do? I don't want to tear that up. So what I'm going to do is find my pry bar with the taper on it. Look at that. It's almost like one of them blow-up butt plugs. It's opening that thing right up. Look at that. I think that was the answer. Okay. How's it looking? I need to go a little bigger. Let me see if I can find a chisel or a punch that'll open that up a little bigger. Well, I ended up going over to the professionals section of the Lion's Den. This thing really opened it up. And I switched to more of a lead-based packing. This is 3/16, the other stuff was a little bigger. So that made a difference, and look at that, went right on. Okay, another thing I'm going to do while I'm in here, I probably don't have to do it, but I'm going to put some Viper lube on all this stuff too. I'll pull that back out. And some thread sealant. But let me get that gasket made up first before I start putting all this together. Oh, making gaskets 101 real easy. First thing I'm going to do, ink pen tracing around it, just because. Not real important unless it moves off of here. Then I've got a center punch finder. Just putting a dimple on the gasket. I may have screwed myself a little bit right here because I might be too close to the edge. What I tend to do is I always punch the gasket holes before I cut them to size. Where'd my brass hammer go? I bet you it's somewhere on the desk. Yeah, it is, right here. I should be all right because it's a smaller hole. I don't want to blow out the side of this gasket with that hole. If you don't have a gasket punch kit, go get one. Because I'm making this look pretty easy. Now, I could just run the knife around the edge of it, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to cut it just on the outside of this mark, and the reason why is after I get the gasket in place, then I can come back with a knife or a razor blade and then cut it to where it's perfect size so it looks clean. You don't have gasket material hanging out. That part's done. See if the holes line up. And they do. So now I'm going to put some here. Just hold this gasket in place so it doesn't move. I don't have to put all of them in, but I am. And then I need to know how big to make the inside hole. Just take that. Actually, I got that other impeller. I don't even have to take that out. Five and a quarter. So let me look for my compass and mark that out. Well, I marked this center, and I was just going to go come around with this. It's machined off center. So the way I'm going to handle figuring out where to cut this, there's not enough ridge here to put a mark on it. I am going to orientate this to one spot, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to measure where the machining ends on each one of these and put a mark all the way around. And then I'll find the center point of that, and then maybe my compass will allow me to get a decent circle. I know I'm way overdoing this, like I always do. Okay, I got a mark at each one of these. The center line is off center. It's not exactly in the center. So I am just going to mark the ones that are lined up right now. And then I will move the compass. I'll expand the compass in and out as I need to in between bolt holes. Like that one really took. So let me get the small opening first, and then I can lay it down on that cover and do final trimming once I get the center section of this cut out. First things first, I need a new blade on this. Well, I know it's sharp. I just poked my damn finger, so the new blade is good. I still want to keep my mark on here so that I have my orientation for this gasket. I know everybody's going, just use RTV. Well, I am going to use RTV, but this was designed to have a gasket gap in this. And I don't want to remove the gasket gap because I don't want the impeller hitting stuff. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to take the impeller out of the housing body. See what we got. It's not hitting it, but it's close. It is really close. I have a dilemma. Now I got to take that gasket out of there because there's going to be cavitation going on in here, and over time that is going to eat up that gasket. So the new way to do this is with the impeller in there mark where the end of it is. And I'll just go ahead and do that for every hole, and then I can open that gasket up. Everybody's screaming, just use the housing, you idiot. The coffee just kicked in. This is a lot easier than what I was going to do. I don't even have to draw. Boy, they sure don't leave you much of a ceiling land here on this. Exacto's starting to get dull already. The hell? I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I was thinking I drank too much over 4th of July. That's what I'm thinking. Hey, how many people want? I want to see him cut his thumb off. That was don't ever put your thumb in front of a working X-Acto knife, huh? You almost saw a lesson learned there. Be sure you get it right to the edge, because the impeller goes right to the edge. And like I said, if there's any cavitation, it's going to chew up that gasket. Okay, the gasket is made. Now what? Guess let's put this thing together, huh? Make sure this fits the way it's supposed to. Yeah, it's doing what it needs to do. I'm going to trim a little more off of this because it is barely touching it. And I really don't need any gasket material in the radiator. Let me finish cleaning this up. Time to clean up the mating surfaces. So a little alcohol. I've already sandblasted all this and cleaned it out. Actually, that needs more attention. There is metal shavings in there. This is going to the parts cleaner. Got it looking all pretty and shiny now. I actually took it over to the wire wheel. I don't want to get too crazy with this. I want to fill in all these pock marks. That be the goal. Now these are through bolts too that go into the casting. What I'm going to do is I am going to put this together, wiggle this all around a bit, get it in place where it needs to be, clean up the excess. Some's going to squeeze out, but I did not put a lot on, as you saw. Lost my train of thought. Oh, I'm going to tighten all this down. Should do it on this side. Tighten all this down using these bolts that came out of it. And then after this all dries in place, one at a time, I'm going to pull them back out. I'm going to put Loctite on the threads to stop any seepage that might take place. I mean, because you can see how rusted this is. I don't need any leak pass into those bolt holes, and I don't need the bolt holes leaking. Okay, that's done. So always got to put a little lube in the hole. Sometimes a lot's better, but in this case, it's a graphite seal. Only need a little. Look how easy that went in. just the way it should be. Like it wanted to be there. I don't know if I need so much graphite up here or lube up here because it's an oil light bearing. I do remember where this went, so it was a little dirty. I get it as clean as I thought I did. This point right there. Before I bolt it down, I'm going to make sure. Like I said, this is the pump that's supposed to go on this engine. Much smaller. I'm comfortable with the additional flow. That's my main objective. Because these cars are prone to overheating. Especially if you start and stop them a lot. Well, I'm not going to bore you with me tightening this back up. I think you kind of get what's going on. I'm putting a little pipe dope on the threads here. And my plan is that I am going to let this dry and then come back, take those bolts out and put stainless steel ones in after I paint it so it'll look cool. I'm done playing with this for today. I'm going to let all this RTV dry and then come back and clean it up with a razor blade and then hit it with a wire wheel and then paint it. So this project is done for today. I still have to put the oil slinger in there. I'll do that when I go to bolt it to the block. Now this is the point I'm at now. I just want to secure some of these wiring in here a bit. It's been falling down and moving around, and I want to make it look a little better so it's not laying in the tray. I'm going to clean up the inside of the frame rails just with the rag, some rubbing alcohol, and I am going to put the short block in because from this point on, I will be adding the components after the engine is in the bay. So, major stride today to get this engine in here. Then I can start working on bolting things back up. I'm waiting on some stuff. I do at one point in time want to go back to the cloth wiring. I have cloth wiring on the outside when you look at the engine, but it is modern wiring on the inside. But that's a later date. Worry about this. I just want to get this thing running for now. Okay, let's clean this up. Hey, now these pumps initially came with brass screws, but I'm upgrading these to stainless just because it looks better. And I can really reef down on these versus the brass. A little bit of blue Loctite. Like I said, these go through into the water pump cavity there, so I want to make sure that the screws are sealed. So just one at a time, so I'm not disturbing the clamp load on the existing gasket. I was trying to get them all lined up to where they looked pretty, but I don't think that's going to happen. Oh well, but that's what I'm doing now. One screw at a time.